It's been a while since Oppo launched in India. However, its devices haven't received as much traction as its sister company, the OnePlus. OnePlus introduced the OnePlus One last year and the OnePlus 2 this year, and both the devices are quite sought after. It's hard to say the same thing about Oppo devices. Don't get me wrong, Oppo makes some really good devices and they are actually willing to take the risk and try something different as seen with the Oppo N1 and the N3. However, there is something usually missing or a few faults that are tough to overlook, and that has been the biggest chink in his armor. Both the N1 and N3 had innovative camera modules that had a rotating feature and a few other unique features, but one of the biggest drawbacks was the size. The N3 mitigated the size issue and some other faults to a certain extent, but wasn't really enough to impress us. The R7 Plus seems to be the most wholesome product that the company has released in quite some time, and while it isn't a high end smartphone, it does pack a punch. Let's dive into the review to take a look at the phone in detail and see whether it finally overcomes the issue that most Oppo smartphones seem to have. Although the R7 Plus succeeds the R5 that came before it, it isn't a direct successor as such. Oppo split the R7 into the R7 Lite, which is a 5-inch device, and the R7 Plus, which is a 6-inch device, to diversify the product lineup. The R5 in comparison housed a 5.2-inch display. However, the design language still remains vastly the same. The bezels have become much smaller than before, but the device is still made out of metal and glass. The back has a very soft touch finish on the metal which feels good to hold, and although it is mostly rectangular in shape, it isn't too difficult to grasp thanks to the slim 7.8 waistline. The soft touch feel, however, does seem to be too smooth at times because we have had the phone almost slip out of our hands completely. So we would suggest putting on a case or maybe even just a skin at the back for added grip. There is a slight curve at the back near the edges that improves the handling, and despite housing a 6-inch display, the phone doesn't feel too big. In fact, it is one of the most compact 6-inch devices that we have tried, more or less the size of the Lenovo Z2 Pro, however with a much slimmer waistline. In fact, the Oppo N3 with a 5.5-inch display is much bigger than the R7 Plus. The weight of both devices are exactly the same at 192 grams. The R7 Plus feels quite compact for the kind of screen size it packs, and it feels really premium thanks to the good build quality. Up front you have the 6-inch display that takes up a large portion of the surface area, giving an aspect ratio of 76.6%, which bests almost every other device that is available internationally. Above the display you have the earpiece, ambient light and proximity sensors, front-facing camera and the notification LED. Below the display you just have the Oppo branding since the device uses on-screen navigation keys. At the right side you have the power/lock key, which is also made of metal. On the left side you have the single volume rocker key, which is split in the middle. It is also made of metal and both these keys offer good feedback when pressed. At the top you have the 3.5mm audio jack along with the secondary microphone. At the bottom you have the micro USB port along with the primary microphone, and there are cutouts for the antenna at the top and bottom of the device. At the back you have the 13 megapixel camera unit with dual LED flash and laser autofocus. Below it you have the fingerprint sensor, and at the bottom there is a loudspeaker. At the top and bottom there are cutouts made of plastic to provide better Wi-Fi and cellular reception. The back panel is non-removable and neither is the battery, which is a massive 4100 mAh unit. It is hard to believe that Oppo were able to pack such a big battery into such a slim waistline, but at least they had a lot of surface area to work with. The R7 Plus is available in both silver and golden variants, and we are reviewing the golden one. Overall, the build quality feels really premium and the device has one of the best designs we have seen lately. The display on the R7 Plus is a huge 6-inch 1080p AMOLED display. It is really beautiful to view content on, the viewing angles are great and so is the contrast. The color is vivid and the sharpness too seems really good despite being a 1080p screen. It is hard to see any pixelation or lack of sharpness. The brightness is more than sufficient indoors or outdoors, and the 2.5D Corning Gorilla Glass 3 looks really good under natural sunlight and does a good job at protecting the device from scratches. The device has a really good screen to body ratio and looks bezel-less, but it actually isn't. It's just a neat way of using the 2.5D glass and the black borders that gives it the appearance that it is bezel-less. As we mentioned earlier, there are a few things that drives consumers away from Oppo, and software is one of them. Most of the time, Oppo fails to deliver on its promise of keeping up to date with the latest Android version. The Oppo N3, for example, came out with Android 4.4.2 KitKat, while most of the other phones being released came out with Android 5.0 Lollipop. In the case of R7 Plus, luckily the phone comes out with Android 5.1.1 Lollipop with ColorOS version 2.1 out of the box. We hope that it would receive the update to Android 6.0 Marshmallow eventually, but only time will tell. At least the phone is on par with other devices at the moment. The fingerprint sensor on the R7 Plus is located at the back just below the camera module. The positioning is good and it makes sure that your finger rests on the sensor when using the phone and thus becomes an easy way to unlock the phone. I personally prefer fingerprint sensors on the home button, but this is a good implementation as well. The fingerprint sensor on the R7 Plus is really sensitive and quick to unlock. It's quite accurate as well and requires you to just keep the finger on it and there's no need to swipe it. What is really good about it is that you can unlock the device directly by just putting your finger on the sensor and it will unlock the device even if it is sleeping, kind of like on the OnePlus 2. There is 32 GB of built-in memory, out of which 20.46 GB is available out of the box. The device supports microSD cards up to 32 GB in capacity. It supports 4G LTE on both the SIMs, however only one SIM can have 4G activated while the other SIM remains on 2G. The device supports dual band Wi-Fi 802.11 A, B, G, N and AC and Bluetooth 4.0. The device is powered by an octa-core Snapdragon 615 processor and has 3 GB of RAM as well. The Oppo R7 Plus has a 13 megapixel camera at the back which has Snyder Grenache optics and uses a Sony IMX278 sensor. The image quality is really good and it can be compared to the likes of the LG G4 and Samsung Galaxy S6 or the Note 5 and S6 Edge Plus. The dynamic range is good too and that can further be improved using HDR mode. The sharpness is spot on and what is really good is the ability to focus on objects quite close. Doing so will also give you a really nice bokeh effect. The front camera is an 8 megapixel unit. It too is pretty good, offering good detailing and performance in well lit conditions. The video recording on the device is limited to 1080p resolution due to processor limitations. Videos are quite detailed with good sharpness and audio quality, however aren't that smooth due to lack of optical or software image stabilization. The Oppo R7 Plus is powered by a large 4100 mAh battery that is non-removable. But with that much capacity, the phone does last a long time and in the case that you do run out of juice, Oppo's turbocharger will get your phone charged back up really quickly. It achieved a one charge rating of 16 hours and 1 minute, which is brilliant thanks to the huge battery. Overall, the Oppo R7 Plus is a really good smartphone. It has a beautiful design with a brilliant display and a great camera. The music quality too is pretty good and so is the battery life. The only question that remains unanswered is whether or not Oppo will give the update to Android 6.0 Marshmallow. We hope they do because this is a great device and that is probably the only reason why users wouldn't want to go for it. Sure, it is a bit costly for an Oppo device as it costs Rs 29,990 for a device with mid-range specifications. However, it is a great one at that and the mid-range part of the phone is probably only the processor. The rest of it is flagship material and I would definitely recommend this to anyone who is looking for an all-in-one smartphone primarily for content consumption and creation. Listed here are the pros and cons of the device. If you like the video, do hit the like button and do subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.